Hello, all my 4PG friends, and welcome back to another Go Math lesson taught by Mrs. Guerrero, the one and only. Ha! First of all, we're going to go over the ticket in today, so the problem of the day, which Leah is the star. So today, Leah needs your help. Seems like everybody this week needed help, huh? Classify each figure in as many ways as possible. Write quadrilateral, trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, and or square. Now, we talked about this yesterday in lesson 10.4, so I'm just going to switch over to my handy dandy reteach sheet, which I told you is a very critical piece of information. It's a great resource. It's one of the best resources that Go Math actually published as far as 4th grade. So I love this because it's like a flow chart again. And it starts up at the top. We were talking about this yesterday, that it's very broad. It's not very specific. You don't have to have too many qualifiers to be the top guy. But as you go down the line, there's more and more qualifiers to be considered that particular shape. So we want to stay in order, just like we were saying yesterday when you write out the factors of a number. We want to go in counting order. Well, we're going to go in flowchart order. So the top starts a quad, 4-sided shape, then a trapezoid. And you can read what the classification of what qualifiers indicate that it's a trapezoid. Parallelogram. Then from here you have a split. You have the rectangle, and that has 4 right angles, but a rhombus doesn't have the 4 right angles. Okay, and also a rhombus has all 4 sides are equal in length. And then of course the very specific, all these qualifiers is the square. So that means starting at the bottom now and working our way up, a square is also a rectangle, it's a rhombus, a parallelogram, a trapezoid, and a quadrilateral. And don't forget a polygon, of course, because it's a flat shape that's closed in. All the sides are closed, and there's no rounded line segments at all. In fact, if it did have a line segment, it wouldn't be rounded. Or maybe it should be the other way around. All right. Is a rectangle a square? And is a square always a rectangle? This is always a great rhyme, or not a rhyme, a joke. Well, I don't know what it is, but it always confuses people. Is a rectangle a square, and is a square a rectangle? Well, no, according to this, a rectangle is never a square, but a square is always a rectangle. And the difference is because the rectangle has 2 longies and 2 shorties. Remember we were talking about that yesterday. That's what I say it is. And a square has all 4 sides the same length. So if I was to do those tick marks that we were talking about yesterday, I would have single tick marks around that square. All right, so let's go back. All of that took 3 minutes, but let's go. So number 1, well, obviously I can very well see that is a rectangle, but I'm going to start from the top and work myself down. So the first thing it is it's a quad. It's a quadrilateral. I'm going to abbreviate. Okay, it's a quad. Then, of course, if it's a rectangle, and I have my reteach sheet right next to me because I like to keep my resources out so I can use them. After the quad, then of course, going down the line, it's a trapezoid. Then it's a parallelogram. So Dylan, that's another one of my favorite words. I love that word, parallelogram. Okay, then, is it a rhombus? No, but it's a rectangle. And that, my friend, is as far as you can go with that shape. So it's 4 different things. Now, let's look at the next one, number 2. Well, that really looks like that reteach sheet, that shape on the reteach sheet. That's a trapezoid. It's just turned upside down. I see single tick marks, so that's telling me that this side here is equal length to this side. So it has two sides of equal lengths, but it also has two parallel sides. I see that because this side is not parallel. Obviously, it's going to crisscross, okay? But this side here horizontally and this side here is parallel. So this is a quad because it has four sides. It's also a trapezoid. It's a trap. Is it a parallelogram? Well, to be a parallelogram, you have to have two sides, two pairs of parallel sides. This does not. It only has one pair. This horizontal line, that horizontal line. So that's as far as you can name that one. And last but not least, this sole little guy down at the bottom, he looks like a piece of paper floating in the wind. Well, he's got four sides, so it's definitely a quad. But to be a trapezoid, you have to have at least one pair of parallel sides. Well, this side here is definitely not parallel to that side. I can see that. This side here, if I keep on going, actually if I keep on going out this way, and this side here, eventually they will crisscross. So that's not going to work down here too. See, I shouldn't have my ruler out like Mrs. Pellegrini does. And this side over here is going to eventually, they are not parallel. It looks it, but look, it's crooked a little bit. Can you see the little crookedness to it? If it's a little bit crooked, that means it's not parallel. They have to be straight. Straight as a line. So this is only a quad, that's it. Did you get that? Good. All right, let's look at the mid-chapter checkpoint. Now, personally, I would have kept my resource out in front of me, which is Reteach 10.4, okay, to answer these questions. All right, so let's take a look. So, of course, we have 5 blanks. They gave us 6 words. They always do. All right. So let's look at number 1. I'm going to go like this. A blank is part of a line between 2 endpoints. Well, you know that that is definitely a line segment. Okay, so number 1 is a line segment. Did you get that one? Good for you. If you didn't, just correct it on your paper. Number 2, a blank forms a square corner. Remember, I put a Post-it note there yesterday. I don't have a Post-it note in arm's length, but I do have a crayon box. Look, here's a corner right there. Right there. And of course, the answer for number 2 is a right angle. How we doing so far? All right, let's go on. And oh, A-N, we know it has to start with a vowel. There's only 2 here, an acute or an obtuse. Let's see what it says. And blank is greater than a right angle and less than a straight angle. Well, remember, a right angle is 90 degrees. We're going to talk about this more when we get into chapter 11, okay? And less than a straight angle. And a straight angle is a straight line, which we'll see is 180 degrees. That's the degree symbol. You know that. So if I have something that's greater than a right, it's got to be the big boy, and that's obtuse. Okay? So obtuse angle is the answer for number 3. Moving right along. Number 4, the 2-dimensional figure that has one endpoint is well, there's only one that has just one endpoint. Okay? And it's a figure. It can look this way, or it could go this way. And that, of course, is a ray. So number 4, oops, is a ray. You getting dizzy because I'm holding the camera right now, that's why. Okay, number 5, an angle that forms a line is called a, yep, that's right, straight angle. It's a straight angle. All right, let's do number 6. Now, I'm going to tell you, if we were in class, number 6 gets all of our 4th grade students. A lot of people don't get this one 100% correct. It's a little tricky. But anyway, They want us to use this grid paper over here. On the grid to the right, draw a polygon, so a closed shaped, that has two pairs of parallel sides, two pairs of sides equal in length, and two acute and two obtuse angles. Tell the possible names for the figure. So we're going to draw it first. You know me, I'm not good at drawing, but I think I'm going to draw see right here is a corner, so that's 90 degrees. I have to have one that's less than 90 degrees, okay? And then I'm going to take this straight line and I'm going to go down. And then I'm going to go across. I'm trying to use my grid here. And then I'm going to go probably went over too far. Then I'm going to go like this. Well, let me go across here. This will probably be easier for me. You know, I'm no artiste here. And then I'm going to go down. Okay, there I go. That's kind of okay. Well, this is definitely acute. This is a big boy. See, he's big. He's the obtuse. And up here, this is obtuse too, because this is greater than 90 degrees. And this is supposed to be smaller than 90 degrees. So this figure here, I'm going to go down the line again, like on my reteach sheet. So it's a quad. It also can be classified as a trapezoid, a trap. Trying to stay in order here. It's a parallelogram. Oop, I love that word. Parallelogram. That's it. That's all it is. It's only those three things. I'm done. All right, now, I should have gotten my ruler out. I forgot to get the darn ruler to do the next. I hope you used your ruler, not like Mrs. Guerrero. But I'm going to use a crayon box because that's what I have. Otherwise, I'd have to go over to I think it's in my TV room to look for my ruler. Anyway, I need the ruler to do the next four. I have to draw the figure. The first thing for number 7 is parallel lines. So I'm sure you probably took your handy dandy ruler. I'm going to go across just because it's easier for me. Oh dear, that doesn't look straight. That's terrible. Mrs. Pellegrini would have my head. Oh jeez. Well, they're not the best. But what's very important, a lot of people make the mistake. Don't forget the arrows. That's where they make the mistake. Make sure you're making arrows. Okay? So those are parallel lines. All right, let's go on to the next one. We need an obtuse angle. That's how we read it, ABC. So now I have to actually put those points on my angle. All right, so I'm going to make a big boy here. So it's got to be bigger than 90 degrees. Okay. That's too close to 90 degrees. Look at that. That's not. It's a little bit bigger. It's not that great though. I want to make it much bigger because it looks too similar to a 90-degree angle. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Now, that's better. All right. Don't forget, you need the arrows. Okay, now we also have to label it A, B, C. Don't forget that middle letter has to be the vertex. So that one you can put right there. You can put A on this side or A on this side. I read left to right, so I'm going to put it here. And notice that my points, I actually put a little before the arrow, and that would be drawn correctly. So there's your answer for that one. That's obtuse angle ABC. Now, number 9. Oh no, my phone fell. Stop it. Okay, here we go. All right, we have to make intersecting lines that are not perpendicular. So remember, perpendicular is when they crisscross and they all those angles, all those points where they meet, they're all 90-degree right angles. So these just want to be crisscross. So you could have made like a letter X, really. Of course you did it with your ruler. Don't tell Mrs. Pellegrini I didn't make it with a ruler. All right, so but make sure you have arrows. If you don't have arrows, it's incorrect. Those aren't lines. Put arrows on it. Now, we didn't have to label it with any letters, so we're good. Last but not least, is acute. Oh, why is it so bright? Get out of there. There you go. Acute angle RST. All right. So now we're going to make him a little guy. I'm going to draw, this time I'm going to put the line on the bottom first. And then I'm going to go just a little up. Oh, that looks so good. Look at that. Mrs. Pellegrini would like this one. All right, now, don't forget, the S is the vertex. It's got to be in the middle. That's where they meet. I'm going to put R here. I'm putting T here. And there you go. So there's your answer for the first page. How'd you do? All right. Making sure that this angle is less than a right angle. Okay? Less than a corner of your paper or a Post-it note. Or in this case today, crayon box. All right, let's do the next page. Now, be careful on the first one here, number, what are we, 11? Yeah, number 11. It's simple, but just be careful what it says. It says, which triangle has one right angle? So what they were looking for is right triangle. Making sure that you put the word right and making sure you put the word triangle. All right, number 12. A figure has two pairs of parallel sides, two pairs of sides of equal length, and four right angles. Oh, remember this problem. You might see it again as the ticket in. What quadrilateral best describes this figure? Well, if you look at your cheat sheet, the reteach, okay, the one that best describes it is Mr. Rectangle. Now, you're going to say to yourself, well, could it be a square? No! Because it has two pairs of parallel sides, two pairs of sides of equal length. On a square, all four sides are equal in length. Okay, so that's why it can't, in this description, it cannot be a square. They're looking for a rectangle. All right, 13. Which quadrilateral can have two pairs of parallel sides, all sides with equal length, and no right angles? All right, we're going to start from the top. Now, we didn't have to say quadrilateral because it already told us it's got to be a quad. So we didn't have to write quad. But what you do have to start with is trapezoid. Okay. And then, after that, could it be a parallelogram? Well, according to my reteach sheet, it absolutely can. So it can be a parallelogram. Parallelogram. And it actually can be one more. Well, it's definitely not a rectangle because it has no right angles. But it's a rhombus. Did you get that one? Good for you. All right. Okay. my friends, if we were in class, I can't tell you how many fourth graders get number 14 wrong. Remember what I told you about this figure? You can only read it one way. You start at its energy source and go out, even though it's facing that way to the left, it's pointing to the left. All right, let's see. What is the correct name of the figure shown? It's ray. Now, if you put the icon for ray, that's fine. I'm going to write out the word ray. Ray, E-F. No, it can't be Ray, F-E. Cannot. Wrong. So, if you have it wrong, can you fix it? It can only be Ray, E-F. Remember, it's starting from its power source. That's where it gets its energy and it goes out. All right, last but not least, this is really not that bad, even though it says go deeper. It's just a written response. Okay. Describe the angles of an obtuse triangle. Well, if you go back to 10.3, was the triangles? It'll give you the definition for an obtuse triangle. And remember that one of the angles has to be obtuse. So I'm going to draw it without a ruler. Don't tell Mrs. Pellegrini. But here's my big boy, okay? And I'm going to make him even bigger than that so we can really see. So if I was to draw this guy out, bigger than a right angle, okay? There we go. Yeah, he's much bigger than a right angle, okay? Now, if I go like this, I have to connect like that. And in order for this to happen, so it's a closed shape, because that's what a triangle is. It's a polygon. It's a closed shape. This angle here is greater than 90 degrees. And for me to close it in, these have to be smaller than 90 degrees. So, an obtuse triangle has, so let's write that, obtuse. I'm going to put an. Did I get that in the camera? No. An obtuse triangle has one angle, and I'm not going to say has one obtuse angle. I'm going to tell you what it has one angle greater than 90 degrees. I'm using the degree symbol, but less than, it's got to be less than a straight angle. So it's less than 180 degrees. And two acute, they're so cute. Remember, they're the small guys. Two acute angles which are greater than 0 degrees, but less than 90 degrees. All right? And that would be a fantastic, super duper answer. Oh, I need a period. All right, my friends. So that is today's lesson. How'd you do? Beautiful. Don't forget to use your resources when you can. You know, next year, like I said, like I always tell you, you probably won't be able to use resources. So use them now while you can. All right, my friends. Check back tomorrow for another fun video. Bye-bye.